Got a simple little needle tent stake and one of the lag screw tent stakes to show the difference in pull strength on these. So this is pretty soft ground. These little needle tent stakes, they go in pretty simple, but you can just pull them out with a finger. It doesn't take any force. Lag screw, it's not really much longer to put it in, but this isn't going to let go. Oh, I mean, you really got to pull. And this is nice, soft, loose ground. More firm ground with some clay content, and you won't be able to pull this out by hand. So here we have everything that we need to be able to build our tent stake. So we've got the lag screw itself. In this case, I'm using an 8-inch long, 3/8 inch diameter lag screw. This is something you can find easily at any big box hardware store. This is good for a tent that's probably about the 8 to 10 person range. You could probably go a little bit bigger if there's more hold down points. A smaller tent, this will absolutely hold it down. You can use this for pop-up shelters, something that's around like a 9-10 foot pop-up shelter. This should work just fine for that. If you're going to a much larger tent, you may need to look for a longer lag screw. The only thing is that may be something you need to order specialty or look for it online, as this is typically about the maximum length, at least for this smaller diameter that you'll find in most hardware stores. Then we've got just a couple of washers. I've got a 1.5 inch S-hook and a little piece of heat shrink tubing. So you can put all this together for less than $2 per stake. And that's a really good price compared to some of the higher end tent stakes that you're probably going to end up spending $5-6 a stake, or if you're looking at the kind of auger style screw in stakes, those can be $10-15 per stake. So really economical, but it works well. So let's put this together. So what we're going to do is we'll just need a vise, and we are going to take our S-hook. We're going to put it on the shank and then put it into the vise, and what we're going to do is use this to just pinch it down so it becomes captive around the shank. So we just squeeze this down. We're just using the shank in here to help form it so we can still fit it in afterwards. Let's see how we're doing here. And that's all we need. It's just there to hold it captive. It's still going to be able to slide up and down. It's just to prevent it from falling off. It doesn't have to be completely closed around the end, because this is never going to take any force pushing through that opening. It's always going to pull into the loop of the S. So that's all we need there. And next, pull this off, and we want to take this and along the straight edge. So this is the loop that we bent around it. So we want to mark about a 1/3 of the way from the other end, the unbent side. And the reason that we're doing this is we want to bend it where it can clear our washer, because we're going to stick one on top and bend this up. So it needs to be able to have a bend far enough out that it's not coming up underneath the washer. So if you've got smaller washers, you can move this a little closer. If you've got larger S-hooks, adjust accordingly. But this is about what I found with these 1.5 inches. So what we'll do is put this into the vise. Tighten this up. And all we're going to do is just take a hammer and just make sure that center line is coming straight up as possible. We're just going to hammer this over. There we go. Pop this out. So now what we've got is a piece of, well, funnily shaped metal. So we've got the piece that's going to go around and hold captive on here, and it provides just a hook that we can use to tie ropes onto or stake down around loops, whatever we need. So to finish off the assembly, I'm going to take one of our washers, put it at the top. We're going to take our hook, and we want the hooked end facing down. We put our next washer on, and finally heat shrink tubing. Now the heat shrink tubing, don't shove this all the way up to the top. Give it a little room to move, because what's going to happen is you're going to need to put a socket on here, and depending on how deep your socket is, that's going to push this whole assembly down away from the head. So give it some room to do that, otherwise you'll just end up shoving this down or get it bound up in there, and it just works a lot better. Give it a little room to breathe. We're just going to use a heat source, lighter in this case. Get this shrunk down. And there we go. So that keeps these from popping off. Don't have to worry about it coming off in your bag, in your car, whatever it is. Pretty simple to do. So you can put together a full set of these for your tent in probably 10 to 15 minutes. Pretty quick.